Okay, so now in this topic we will discuss about the gear trains. Okay, and now if the distance between the two shops is very large, as you can see in this case here, so the motion can be transmitted by either the following two methods. Number first is by providing a large size wheel. For example, if you want to transmit uh, the uh, the torque between these two shops, so either you can use something like a very big wheels here, or another one is that you can use some intermediate wheels. So you will just do something like this, okay, by providing intermediate wheels, as you can see in this case here. So the second option is more convenient and economical, as it will save you a lot of material. Now folding or the two types of train of wheel depending upon the arrangement of wheels. So we can have a simple gear train or simple train of wheels, and compound gear trains or compound train of wheels, as you can see in these figures. So simple gear train, this is the simple gear train here. When there is only one gear on each shaft is shown in the figure, it is known as simple gear train. So in this case, you can see here that there are only two gears. In this case, there are three gears. In this case, there are four gears. And in all these cases, on each shop, there is only one gear. So this is what we call is the simple gear train. And when the number of intermediate wheel is odd, as you can see in this case here, when there is just one intermediate wheel or three or five, the motion of both the wheels, that is driver and follower, is the same. So this means that in this case, if it is the driver is rotating in the clockwise direction, in the follower will also rotate in the clockwise direction. Uh, if it is just odd number of wheels in between, uh, if the number of intermediate wheel is even, as in this case here, then the motion of the follower is opposite to the driver. So in this case, this is going clockwise, and you can see this is going counterclockwise, the final one. Now, in this case, if you consider that we want to calculate, for example, if you know the number of teeth of all the shops, and you know the velocity or angular velocity of the driver, and you want to calculate the angular velocity of the follower. So first you will assume that N1 and T1 are the speed and number of teeth of the driver. Similarly, N2 and T2 are the speed and number of teeth on the intermediate, which is this one here. And similarly, for this one here, so if you consider this is our 1, this is our 2, this is our 3. So N3 and T3 are the speed and number of teeth on the follower here. So since the driver gears with the intermediate wheels, so now if you want to apply the velocity ratio here, as we did in the previous case, and now because this gear is meshing with this gear here, so what we can do is that N2 divided by N1 should be equal to T1 divided by T2. And because we know this equation that N2 divided by N1 is equal to T1 by T2, so we can write this equation here for these two gears for 1 and 2. So N2 divided by N1 is equal to T1 divided by T2. Okay, and okay, so for the first case, it was N2 divided by N1, which was T1 divided by T2. And this one you can say is our equation A. And now similarly, for this is 1 and this is 2 and this is 3. And now for if you consider 2 as a driver, then 3 is a follower here. So now we can write another equation for these two gears. So it will be something like N3 divided by N2 will become equal to, similar to this equation, it will become T2 divided by T3. And this is our, you call it equation B here. Okay, so if you multiply A and B, so if you multiply these two equations here, so it will become N2 divided by N1 into N3 divided by N2. and this will become T1 divided by T2 into T2 divided by T3. And obviously N2 and N2 is the same, so you can cancel that. And obviously T2 and T2 is the same, so you can cancel that out. So from here what you will get is that N2 N3 divided by N1 become equal to T1 by T3. So this means that the or simply you can write that speed of the follower divided by speed of the driver is equal to number of teeth of driver, and divided by number of teeth of follower. You can write this simple equation here. So the velocity ratio in simple train of wheel is independent of the intermediate or idle wheels. So as you can see here, the intermediate wheel will just cancel out and it will not affect the velocity ratio. So it is just that you are meshing these two gears, 3 and 1 directly. So the velocity ratio in this case is exactly the same as if you use intermediate wheels, and the number of intermediate wheels will not affect the velocity ratio here. But now we have another gear train, which is what we call is a compound gear train, as you can see in this figure here. So the intermediate or idle wheel in a simple gear train do not affect the velocity ratio of the system. But these wheels are useful in bridging over the space between the driver and the follower. Uh, okay, but in compound gear train, which is this case here, each intermediate shaft has two wheels, as you can see in this case here. So this intermediate wheel, which is this one here, this is our driver, and this one is follower, and these two are intermediate wheels here, are intermediate shafts. But each intermediate shaft have two gears now. So this one have two gears and this one have two gears. Uh, and in compound gear train, each intermediate shaft has two wheels rigidly fixed to it, so that they have the same speed. So this means that the speed of 2 and 3 will be the same, and similarly the speed of 4 and 5 will be the same. And in addition to bridging the space between the driver and the follower, compound gear trains change the velocity ratio. So in the simple gear train, the velocity ratio was not affected by the intermediate gears, but this will affect, as you will see in a minute. Now, again, if you consider that N1, T1 are speed and number of teeth of the driver, and similarly, N2, N3, and N6 are speed of the respective gears, as you can see in this case here. So we have 6 gears here. And similarly, T2, T3, up to T6 are the number of teeth of each individual here. Okay, so now, because as you can see in this case here, that 1 and 2 are meshing with each other, so you can write that N2 divided by N1 using this equation here is equal to T1 divided by T2, which is inversely proportional to the number of teeth here. And similarly, you can also write for all other. So in this case, then these two are meshing with each other, 3 and 4. So you can write that N4 divided by N3 is equal to T3 divided by T4. And similarly, these two are meshing with each other. So you can write N6 N5 is equal to T5 divided by T6. So you can write these equations here. Okay, now if you multiply all these three equations together, so what you will get, N2, N1, 4, 3, and 6, 5. And on the right hand side, what you will have, T1, T2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. So you have this equation. If you multiply 1, 2, and 3, multiplying this 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. You have this equation here. Now, as you look at this figure here, we know that the speed of 2 and 3 should be the same. This means that because n2 is equal to n3 because they are on the same shop, and similarly n4 is equal to n5 because they are on the same shop. So the angular speed of these two will be the same as this one here. This means that n2 and 3 can be cancelled here. So you can cancel 2 with 3, and similarly you can cancel 4 with 5. So what you will get here, you will get n6 divided by n1 is equal to t1, t3, t5, and t2, t4, t6 here. Okay, so in this case, you want to calculate the speed of gear 6, and you are given the speed of gear 1, and you are also given the number of teeths of all the gears. You can use this equation to calculate the speed of gear 6 here. And the this equation may look a bit complicated at the moment, but it's very simple to remember. And so n6 by n1 will be equal to, if you look at this t1, t3, and t5, so t1 is this one, 3 is this one, and 5 is this one. And so t1 is a driver for t2, 3 is driver for 4, and 5 is driver for 6. So what we will say is product of teeth teeth on the drivers. And if you look at this, so t2 is follower for t1, t4 is this 4 is follower for 3, and 6 is follower of 5. So and 2, 4, 6. So this means that product of teeth on the follower. So you can write this in this form here. Okay, so as you can see in this, this is just one example which is taken from the tutorial sheet here. So again, you are given this gear or gear train, a compound gear train. So the motor shop is connected to A. So this is your driver, and the G is your follower, and rotate it 975 rpm. So this the NA is given, which is 975 rpm. The gear wheel B, C, D, E are fixed to parallel shop, rotating together. The final gear F, which is this gear here, is fixed to the output shop, which is G. What is the speed of F? So you need to calculate the speed of F here. So NF is unknown, that is you need to calculate. And the number of teeth on each wheel is given here. So this is the number of teeth which is given in this case. So NA is 20, NB is 50, NC is 25, D 75, E is 26, and F is 65 here. So in this case, what we need to calculate is NF. So solution. So we know that NF divided by NA will be equal to product. We can use the equation that we just derived. So product of teeth on driver and product of teeth on followers. Okay, so if you look at this figure here, in this figure, you need to calculate NF, and NA is given, which is 975. Okay, so product of teeth up on the driver here. So the first driver is A, and then you have it is connected to B. So B is follower, and then C is driver, and D is follower. E is again the driver here, and F is again the follower. So TF. You will just use this equation here, and you are given all the number of teeth. So 20, 50, and 25, 75, and 26, and 65 here. So if you just do these calculations, you will get NF, which will be 52 RPM. Okay, so finally we will also discuss this another type of gear train, which is what we call is epicyclic or planetary gear train. We will not do any sort of calculation for this gear train, but I will just introduce it. So in this epicyclic or planetary gear train, one of the wheel is fixed, as you can see here, and the other makes a revolution about the fixed wheel with the help of an arm. So this, as you can see in this figure here, that this one is fixed here and this one is rotating. So in figure is shown A and arm C. So this is arm C having a common axis at O1 about which they can rotate, and the wheel B meshes with the wheel A and has its own axis on the arm at O2. So B is rotating here. Now, if the arm C is considered to be fixed, the wheels A and B form a simple gear train. But if the wheel A is fixed and the arm is rotated, the system form an epicyclic gear train. Now, we also have this sort of gear train, which is what we call is a compound epicyclic gear train. So in this case, you have sort of three gears, as you can see in here. That you have this one in the center, one is this one here, and one is this internal gear here. So a compound epicyclic gear train consists of a three toothed wheel known as sun. So this one is sun, this is a planet, and then the A is what we call is the annular gear. Now the axis of sun wheel and planet wheel are connected by an arm C by a pin connection, which is this connection here. Now the planet wheel meshes with the sun. So the planet is meshes with the sun and also with the annular wheel. Okay, so this is the end of this lecture. So in today's lecture, in addition to the previous part, we also discussed about the angular momentum and the second law of the Newton's second law, and also about the gyroscope. And in this part, we discuss about the clutches. So equation for the common angular velocity omega, which was this equation here. And we also discussed this diagram here, that the omega 1 is decreasing and omega 1 is increasing. And finally, we will have this common angular velocity. Now, the loss of kinetic energy due to clutch engagement will be this equation here, which you can calculate by just calculating the initial kinetic energy minus the final kinetic energy. And this equation for t dash, which is this time here, is the time when the slipping ceases, is this equation here, I2 omega divided by t. And the angle of slip can be calculated using theta 1 minus theta 2, and which is half omega 1 t dash, which is just this green area, and the work done against friction is equal to the kinetic energy loss. Now, in case of the gears, if we assume that there's no friction between, there's no slippage between these two wheels, then we can write this equation that this Vp is equal to R1 omega 1 equal R2 omega 2, and then we can write this velocity ratio, which is omega 1 divided by omega 2 is inversely proportional to the radii or diameters. Now, gears can be classified based on the different criteria. So the first one is based on the position of the axis of the shaft. which is this different type of gears. And we also then define the circular pitch, which is the circumference divided by the number of teeth. And then for simple gear drive, the velocity ratio is N2 divided by N1 is equal to D1 divided by D2 or T1 divided by T2. Now the power transmitted is just to multiply force with velocity. And in the gear train, we discuss simple gear train, so which is when you have only one gear on each shaft. And for this case, the intermediate wheels doesn't affect the velocity ratio. So the speed of the follower divided by speed of the driver is equal to the number of teeth on the driver and number of teeth of the follower. But in the compound gear train, the speed of the follower and speed of the driver. So in this case, as you can see in this figure here, that on each shaft, we have in the intermediate shaft, we have two wheels, and the product of the teeth on the driver divided by product of the teeth on the follower. So in this case, the number of teeth on the intermediate wheels affect the velocity ratio here. In the case of epicyclic gear train, we didn't discuss the how we will calculate the velocity ratio in this case, but we just introduce these gear trains.